Assalamu alaikum, guys and gals. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Ubisoft got a bit of a hack, boys. And I'll be real with you. In some cases, I'm not entirely that happy. Like, there's a lot of people that work at these companies that have to set aside some time to take care of some naughty things, some naughty shenanigans that have happened. But at the same time, I goddamn hate Ubisoft in a lot of ways. But I will say the only game that I think is worth playing from them is probably Rainbow Six Siege. And even that, I'm kind of starting to fall off on a little bit, simply because, I don't know, man, the direction, the Siege community kind of thing, the direction Rainbow Six Siege goes is a different matter. I think they're getting rid of a lot of the fun stuff from the game, that, you know, what it was based off of. But anyways, Rainbow Six had a bit of a security incident, ladies and gentlemen. And mind you, Rainbow Six is arguably one of the, I would say probably one of the big live service games, if really the only live service game other than I think like maybe For Honor, that keeps them alive, okay? Other than that, most of their live service shit, I'm looking at you, Skull and Bones, is kind of dog water. Anyways, we're aware of an incident currently affecting Rainbow Six Siege. Our teams are working on a resolution. We will share further updates once available. So I was like, whoa, hold on. Did my information get hacked? Did my user data get breached? And for anybody that has a heart palpitation right now, no, don't worry. It doesn't look like your personal information has been breached. But actually, what kind of happened? So I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into this. I wanted to look at what was occurring. So if you go to the actual Rainbow Six Siege community, you'll find out that people were getting a lot of free money. In some cases, money was being reverted to the negatives. But for a lot of gamers out there, you probably logged in that day and noticed that you had how much is that? Let me see that. You probably had 2.1 billion renown sitting in your account. And that number is suspiciously close to the max int value for a 32-bit signed integer. But I'm not assuming that's where we're getting at, okay? I just wanted to see if like these guys just gave so much money that it just maxed out at the value. But anyways, the point of this is people were waking up and they were like, whoa, I'm getting crazy money. There's a lot of people who were playing a video game like Siege and they just immediately started seeing the lyrics to Billie Jean playing in the background. Billie Jean is not my lover. She's just a girl who claims that I am the one. And of course, this is like somebody who's the hackers abusing the fucking Rainbow Six Siege, I would say like band system, or at least like the band display system to come up with all these crazy lyrics. Now, this is just Billie Jean. Obviously, there was a lot of racist shit that got thrown into the mix, as you can imagine. This is modern gaming after all. So how did a bunch of hackers breach into this entire story? Well, a day ago on the old Rainbow Six Siege Reddit over here, they were like, guys, there's a massive breach. Accounts are given billions of credits and random bans. Now, according to the fellows at Rainbow Six, nobody's going to be banned for spending illegal counterfeit currency. The ban ticker is turned off because, ladies and gentlemen, we don't want anybody to have N-words spammed at them. An official R6 shield guard did occur, a ban did occur, but it was actually unrelated. And if you play Rainbow Six Siege at all, you'll notice sometimes at 2 in the morning you'll be playing the game, and it'll just be like fucking 5 minutes of random players getting banned. Now, to give you an idea, Rainbow Six is a game that is very, very incentivized towards you spending money. So when you get gifted free currency, whether it be the paid or not, you can imagine that would break the fucking marketplace. In fact, if anything, the game's third-party marketplace would be broken because so many people have access to actual goods that they trade around all the time. Now, in this case, obviously, all it took Ubisoft to do was to basically stop the entire game, lock off the system, and revert the changes that are being made. So basically, all they do is just load back a previous state of their servers, similar to how when you emulate, you can load a certain state, and, you know, things should be reverted. It'll take like maybe a day or two before they ever get to that point. But again, because of a bunch of hackers, people who probably would have had, you know, the holidays off, now they have to be working out there. It's crazy shit. I love how the community has these nightmare decisions. Like, if Ubisoft does roll back, it's going to be the cleanest fix, but anyone who legitimately spent real money or put time into the purchases will be angry. Ubisoft does not care if their player base gets angry, okay? We're still going to be playing Siege no matter how much they fucking ruin this game. The Ubisoft ban accounts that use the given currencies that will wipe out trust and punish innocent players. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be doing that because again, they could just revert back to before certain purchases were made or certain progress was done. They might even actually like refund money that was like being spent during the day of the hack too, and I'm sure it's easy for them to do that. The Ubisoft does nothing and lets the currency remain. It destroys the in-game economy, competitive integrity. Bro, they're not going to let you have a free microtransaction, okay? Just forget that forget that level of copium, all right? It's just not going to happen. You have a bigger chance of aliens landing in front of your fucking front doorstep, giving you like a free spaceship before Ubisoft even gives you a free alpha pack, for crying out loud. It ain't fucking happening. So there was a lot of discussion about like how could such a hack happen, right? And based on like, the hack in progress over here, like, people getting free money and whatnot and the ban system being affected, a lot of people started pointing the fingers towards something known as MongoBleed. Now, for somebody that doesn't know what MongoBleed is a actual exploit that attacks something known as MongoDB, a database server that a lot of these companies use for data storage and data structuring. So to give an idea, CVE 2025-14847 was the actual memory leak exploit that occurred. So to give an idea, according to the exploit, a flaw in the zlib message decompression returns for MongoDB, which is where a a client talks to the server, they send back information, and usually that information is compressed using something known as zlib, and basically it returns the allocated buffer size instead of the actual decompressed data length. This allows attackers to read uninitialized memory, which again, if it's coming from the server, they can actually view, information that is stored here. So you can send a compressed message with an inflated, uncompressed size claim, so basically bullshitting. MongoDB allocates a large buffer based on the attacker's claim. zlib decompresses actual data into the start of the buffer. The bug causes MongoDB to treat the entire buffer as valid data. BSON parsing reads field names from uninitialized memory until null bytes. So basically, how it works is that the exploit crafts BSON documents, and when the server parses these documents, it reads field names from uninitialized memory until it hits a null byte. Each probe at a different offset can leak different memory regions. Now, the result is what happens is because the server reads this information from the attacker, it just allocates a buffer of memory to hold decompressed information. But because the actual data that the attacker sends is smaller than the buffer size that's being claimed, the server does not overwrite any old data sitting in the memory space. It actually just sends the buffer filled with uninitialized heap memory right back to the attacker, which again allows you to leak information from these MongoDB servers. So the way that this could possibly be used against Rainbow Six or Ubisoft, from my understanding, from what I know, is that basically the attackers found some IP ranges, they found the actual MongoDB ports, the MongoDB addresses, the server locations for Rainbow Six. They then therefore used MongoBleed to attack these servers and possibly dug up things like session tokens or, I don't know, credentials or any of that stuff. And of course, eventually, once they got access to some level of credentials, they were able to get inside and modify and control things in the Rainbow Six side of things, therefore executing commands that would allow them to grant players more money or, launch something like bandwave announcements on the servers. And of course, obviously, this is not something that anybody had wanted. Ubisoft did, in fact, get a breach. Now, ultimately, the important part for me here is, was the breach involving of any user information? And for that, we actually don't really know. I think Ubisoft said that we don't really have to worry about any of that, and honestly, I kind of hope that's true. There was actually some discussion of who the fuck did this stuff, and ultimately it came out to a whole bunch of claims about various groups fighting. So one group, and this is all from like the fellows over at VX Underground, so hello Smelly, one group claimed to have exploited a Rainbow Six Siege service to manipulate bans and in-game inventory. A second group, a second hacker group has hit the tower, allegedly exploited a MongoDB instance, this is where the MongoDB stuff came from, to pivot into Ubisoft's internal Git repositories. And then again, they claimed that they stole a large archive of internal source code from the 1990s to the present. Now, if this shit is true, and it's not verified to be true, trust me, I looked through this shit all fucking day yesterday, could not find a single shred of proof If that was true, that would be fucking huge. Imagine having the source code to some of the best Ubisoft games out there. Okay, I'm looking at you, Prince of Persia. I'm looking at you, Splinter Cell. Third group claims to have stolen Ubisoft user data. Again, I scoured. I checked the dark web. I did everything for you guys. That shit I could not prove to be true. And I couldn't even see that they were attempting to extort the company. Now, a fourth group disputes some of the claims, and they stated the second group had access to Ubisoft source code allegedly for a while. Again, I couldn't find this evidence whatsoever. Now, apparently, if these guys had access to over 900 gigs of data from Ubisoft and Crytek, if this is actually true, if it's not just bullshit information, we'll find it out, obviously, in the next few days. Ubisoft would probably have to announce that, or at least mention it, at least, to like shareholders, if anything, right? Like, guys, we just got a whole bunch of information leaked. And that goes same for like if user data was breached too. So yeah, this is a bad situation if it's true. Unfortunately, for the hackers, I haven't been able to absolutely confirm that this is true whatsoever. The reality of it is that I'm hoping it ends at the Rainbow Six Siege shenanigans, okay? If a bunch of players got given 1 billion fucking credits, and like, you saw some naughty things in the bandwave, that's probably the best possible case outcome for it. Ultimately, the end for me, I was a little bit worried that, maybe something like personal information, billing information, something like that probably got leaked out. But thankfully, that doesn't appear to be the fucking case, so we can kind of like breathe a little bit easy, because obviously when that kind of stuff happens, it's just a headache for everyone. Like if your address gets leaked out, billing information, and I mean, we know how much effort Ubisoft actually probably puts into like their fucking security. It can be absolutely devastating. But if it's just gaming nonsense like this, I don't think we have to worry too terribly much. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Ubisoft got completely fucking, like, they got hacked. They got a pretty bad hack. To the point where even as we're talking, one of their most popular online games is completely shut the fuck down. I can't access Rainbow Six Siege. It's one of the reasons why I've been playing fucking Tarkov's last night, okay? I had to switch to I had to get my tactical shooter fix in some way. But ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.